Welcome in, one and all. If it sounds like I'm sick or my voice isn't my own right now, it's because that I'm exhausted, frankly. I'm exhausted and ill, and my stress has been higher than it's been for several months now. These last 2 weeks have been some of the worst that I've experienced, and that includes fighting with the federal government to get my internet set up for 2 years, or a year and a half, whatever it was. It's time for another Fireside Chat, and this is going to be a tricky one to do. If you're following the various socials that I'm a part of, mainly our Discord, you'll know that 2 weeks ago, I said, some shit has gone down, I'm gonna be mostly hiding and doing some stuff in the background, not really talking in public channels very much, and I will explain in a week, which would have been last week. And then last week, I said, hey guys, I know I owe you an explanation, but shit is doubly on fire now, and I need to sort all of this out. The video is coming. This is that video. There's some good, there's some bad, and there's a whole lot of ugly. We're not going to be doing a Google Document Simulator for this. I'm just going to talk. This is mostly just going to be podcast mode. I need to conserve as much energy as I can because I have given myself flu-like symptoms from the stress and energy of the stuff that I'm dealing with. So, first of all, a Fireside Chat is a community check-in. I put these videos up every so often, let people know what's going on, let people know what's coming up, let people know anything that they need to know behind the scenes or otherwise public. This is for the people who don't want to read an announcement or want additional context that a text announcement may not be able to give. It's a lot, and this one is no exception. So, as I said, I promised you guys this explanation, and this is it. First and foremost, you may have noticed a severe lack of content on the channel in 2023 and the end of 2022 for that matter, after I said that I got my internet fixed in the last Fireside Chat video, which I made in early autumn of last year. My internet remains fairly solid, a few dips here and there, outages with power outages, of course, a few minor dips due to the weather, but everything within acceptable parameters of what I need. Internet is solid, but as I was getting my internet fixed over that long period of time, my sleep schedule was absolutely destroyed. I was sleeping until 5 or 6 in the evening, and I was staying up until 3 or 4 or 5 in the morning, sometimes after the sun came up. Mostly just because I was working during the afternoon and evening trying to get my internet set up, and then, trying to decompress and have some me time in the evening. So I was going to fix my sleep schedule and then come back with the fixed internet and do some video games for you on my PS5 and, move forward, finish October 2021, and all that other stuff. And pretty much as soon as I started to get a handle on my sleep schedule, Hearthstone stopped recognizing my my capture card that I use to interface with my Switch and my PlayStation and all that other stuff. I tried everything. There is nothing I can do short of replacing the capture card or replacing Hearthstone to get it to recognize my PlayStation, which means I cannot capture the footage from my PlayStation on my computer, record it with my streaming software, and put it up. So just another stumbling block. Capture cards are expensive. They're not as expensive as computers, but they're expensive. I opted for the more expensive option, which is to get a new PC. I talked to several of the keepers, several long-time members of the Masquerade who helped me out with a bunch of stuff, and we managed to get some money together more or less at the end of last year, and we bought a bunch of PC parts. My new computer is 90% here in various boxes for various parts, about 8 feet away from me. But I haven't had the time or the energy to sit down and put it together. I'm hoping that with a recovery period this week, maybe next week, I will have the energy to sit down and get all of this made and done and sorted. I say 90% because there were a few peripherals that I still need, but it should hopefully be functional by the time I put it together and I can get started on getting content back out. And I promised you guys that in the meantime, we would do DA content as much as we could, because Hearthstone could still handle Roll20 and my various notes and all that other stuff. And then the holidays happened, and as I'm sure I don't need to tell you guys, trying to schedule D&D, much less televised D&D, for want of a better word, during the holidays is slightly more enjoyable than a root canal you don't need. So that fell through. I managed to get a couple of episodes of Tales of the Nightlights out. I think there was I think there was an episode of Crown of Faze in there as well, but for the most part, it was just really difficult to get people together. And then we come to what happened at the beginning of this year, and at this point, I can't even make excuses. I can't do anything except offer the reasonings for what happened. So let's get into it. Hasbro is a multi-billion-dollar corporation that makes games and toys of various respects. They are the parent company to Wizards of the Coast, who makes things like Dungeons & Dragons, Magic the Gathering. Wizards of the Coast licenses Ravnica, Eberron, Toril, Kryn, names that you may have heard bandied around on DA before. Well, near the end of last year, and definitely into this year, Hasbro made some awful corporate financial decisions. To put it in no uncertain terms, they went back on 50 years of promises and goodwill. I'm sure that you have heard about this stuff from other sources. I encourage you to do your own research on the matter. I'm not even going to try to present what happened in a way that is unbiased, because I am pissed the fuck off. I'm madder than I have been at a corporation, excuse me, since I boycotted Nintendo for 3 years after the way they treated content creators. Hasbro tried to burn it all down, and it was through pushback from their consumers and people voting with their wallet that they went back on a lot of that stuff, and even further back than I expected them to. And even beyond that, they kind of fell over themselves with their walking backness in ways that are quite comical. Again, I encourage you to do your own research. I'm not here to rehash what happened. I'm not even going to mention how it affected me, except the bottom line. And the bottom line is this. If DA continues as it was before, with Tales of the Nightlights, Hell to Pay, Crown of Fangs, and Voices of the Mountain, we're too close to the sun. And when the dust settles, and if Hasbro decides to pick up an anti-material rifle again, and God knows they're not going to make the same mistake twice, I'm not inclined to be in the firing line. So, I spoke to the various players. I spoke to every group. I spoke to the players individually. I spoke to the art team. I spoke to the keepers. I spoke to the stagehands, the map ghosts. I spoke to everyone involved in DA. And by unanimous decision, DA as we know it, as you know it, as you love it, is done. It's gone, with no front-facing conclusion that will be satisfying. We have to hard stop all of our shows, all of our stories. They have to just hit a wall and be done. And there is absolutely nothing I can say to that except that I'm sorry. Now, that's the bad news. But that's not the end of the story. That's not the end of DA. That's not the end of our story. That's not the end of the masquerade or the content that I'm putting out for you guys. I know that this sucks. Believe me, I know that this sucks. And so, I'm committed to come out swinging. And this is why I'm so tired. And this is why this video is structured the way that it is. We're coming out swinging hard. I just need a little bit more patience. We have 6 brand new, goddamn untouchable shows coming out. All of them from scratch. All of them using a different system. So 6 shows with 6 different systems, 6 completely new stories that no one can take away from us. And we're going hard. The Nightlights on Sundays are becoming the Nova Nighthawks in a sci-fi street racing mecha shonen anime inspired story called Rex and Restoration. The Valkyrie Squad is turning into the Void Wolves in a steampunk pirate adventure in the world that I've been crafting for over a decade called Shards of Eravane, in a show called Brass Horizons. A steampunk pirate adventure with a little bit of Monster Hunter flavor thrown in. The Champions of the North actually got the premiere slot for the new shows coming out, because they're not all coming out at once. They're becoming the Saplings in a gothic fantasy on... how do I say this? With my take on deathless redemption stories that's anything but hollow. The type of stories you might tell around a bonfire, if you understand me. Called Eternal Atria. I'll have more information on these soon. I'll tell you about the other 3 later. I need a few weeks to get the first premiere out. The first 2 shows, Eternal Atria and Rex and Restoration, will be free on the YouTube, weekly content once we get them rolling. The others, I haven't fully decided yet. Some of those will be going on the Patreon, some of those won't. Even the ones on the Patreon will be coming to YouTube for free eventually. I just want to make sure that our patrons, who I appreciate so much, especially for the patience in this matter, so that I can pay my bills during this time, get some content, worth paying for. And that's the good news. I've already got the art teams working on these new projects. I've got the players on board. We're world building, we're character creating, we're shooting these stories, and I'm really excited for them. And I hope in some way it makes up for what has happened to a degree. We're going to continue these stories for as long as possible. There will be some growing pains, especially with me not having the modules and the compendiums to fall back on when I need monsters and puzzles and NPCs and things like that. The players will have to find their feet in the various stories, and we'll all have to learn new systems. I will have to learn 6 new systems. On top of that, I need to get the PC, the new PC built, and when I do, I can start getting video game content back out to you guys. Finish October 2021, as I promised. We have a bunch of fantastic games ready and waiting to get back to fill the time until these premieres. That's kind of what I've got, guys. It's been a hectic month and a very hectic last 2 weeks. I need to take some time to recover, work on some stuff in the background, and then go hard on finishing these premieres and getting them out to you and making absolutely sure that no one can hurt us this way again. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate you standing with me. I hope you're excited for what's coming next, and I'll see you on the other side. But as always, for now, I need to close the book and pick up a hammer and leave you with these parting words. From myself, my keepers, and those joining me on the stage in the future, to all of you, the regulars, the followers, the newcomers, and the lurkers, whether you're just having a seat by the fire, you've got a running tab at the bar, or you're excited for what's coming up, remember, there's always more stories to tell. Now more than ever, I'm committed to that. And I'll see you next time for more of Decisive Action and a new chapter. Take care for now, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope to see you again very soon.